Hi, this is Gail Houseman from the ALS Association. I am here to present on a fictitious patient named Alphonso Morris. He is a 58-year-old African-American male. He was diagnosed with ALS in March of 2020. He's coming into his first clinic visit at the Jefferson ALS Clinic. His initial symptoms occurred in January of the same year. He noticed difficulty buttoning his buttons, and he was complaining of bilateral hand and arm cramping. When he came in to see Dr. Ilieva, they were able to do breathing tests on him, including a forced vital capacity, which is the amount of air that the person's able to breathe out, and the force. And his vital capacity was 96% seated, which is a very good number. Most people who have no respiratory problems are between 90 to 100. And his negative inspiratory force was -40, which is also a good number. And that's the opposite. That's the breathing in. At the time, Mr. Morris was complaining also of bilateral shoulder pain, especially with his ADLs. ADLs are activities of daily living, such as showering, shaving, that kind of thing. The nurse at the clinic, Judy Guarnieri, did his functional rating scale. The FRS-R, the functional rating scale R, is the scale that's used pretty well all over the world to sort of give a number to physical deficits associated with ALS. So all of the sections like speech, salivation, swallowing, they're all from 0 to 4, 4 being no impairment. So for Mr. Morris, his speech was 3, which means that he has some speech changes, but that you can still understand him. His salivation was a 3, which means he had some excess saliva. His swallowing was a 3, which means he had some early eating problems, occasionally choking. His handwriting was a 2. Meaning when he writes, not all of his words are legible. He doesn't have a feeding tube, and his food needs to be cut by somebody, but he can still feed himself. So that gets a 1 as far as the rating scale goes. He's a 1 for dressing and hygiene, meaning he needs somebody to help him with that. He's a 2 for turning in bed and adjusting sheets, which means he can do it, but he has a really hard time doing it. He's a 3 as far as walking, which means that he's noticed some changes. Ambulation is basically just walking. He's noticed some changes with walking. Stairs, he's a 2, which means it's a little harder to do stairs. Dyspnea means shortness of breath on exertion. And he's a 4, meaning he does not have that symptom. Orthopnea means difficulty breathing while lying flat in bed. And he's a 4, meaning he's able to lie flat in bed and breathe fine. And respiratory insufficiency is the measure that they use for people that are on breathing assist devices, usually called BiPAP or Trilogy. And Mr. Morris does not need any of those devices. So Mr. Morris is a former high school physical education teacher. He's now out on short-term disability. He has Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield for his insurance through his former employer. He's married to Loretta. Loretta is also a high school teacher. They have twin 20-year-old daughters, both in college. They live in a home that's 4 stories. It's a townhome. It's got steps out front, no garage. There's an outside deck on the first floor, and steps to the ground, which is grassy. Mr. Morris describes himself as formerly very athletic. He was involved in multiple social groups, including a running club and a men's group at his church. Mr. Morris appeared sad, intermittent eye contact, which just means that his eye contact was not great. Wife says that he's been isolating, which is unusual for him. His wife stated in the past that he was a people person. Mr. Morris has no significant past medical history. He has no history of depression and anxiety, and drinks alcohol socially only.